In society today, we're often told that being, quote, free means indulging our every impulse to its fullest. We hear messages like, obey your thirst, or just do it, or YOLO. But is this indulgence of our drives actually freedom? In today's episode, we explore the themes of power, resistance, and what it means to be truly free. This is Quran Conversations, the podcast for anyone who wishes to unlock the meaning and healing power of the Quran. I'm your host, Dalia Mogahed, an author, researcher, and a student of the Quran. I'll be in conversation with one of my dearest teachers, Imam Muhammad Majid, a scholar of the Quran and longtime family counselor and congregational leader. Today is a shorter episode. We only discuss Ayah 32 and 33, but I promise it's worth your time. We're going to be covering how the minister's wife responds to the women's reactions to Yusuf alayhi salam, as well as the prophet's choice of prison over succumbing to the pressure of those women. If you're enjoying this podcast, please review it on your podcasting platform. It helps more than you know. Quran Conversations is sponsored by Fawakeh, an online learning platform for Quranic Arabic that I myself use. Start your journey in unlocking the language of the Quran. Go to fawakeh.org/journey. We hope this podcast encourages your own reflective journey with the Quran. Make sure to stay until the end to hear this week's reflection prompt. For more spiritual insights, follow me on Instagram at Dalia Mogahed. Without further ado, let's dive into the episode. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Quran Conversations. We are discussing Surah Yusuf with Sheikh Muhammad Majid. I'm Dalia Mogahed, and we are at Ayah 32.
Yes, this is ayah that where the wife of Al-Aziz responded. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قالت فذلكن الذي لمتنني فيه ولقد راودته عن نفسه فاستعصم ولئن لم يفعل ما آمره ليسجنن وليكونن من الصاغرين.
She said, "This is the one you blame me for. I tried to seduce him and he wanted to remain chaste. But if he does not do what I command now, he will be put in prison and degraded." There's many parts of this ayah that actually have to be unpacked and understood. Because she's not denying her feelings. She's not even denying her intentions and what she asked, what she tried to do with all of these women. And so this is actually an important piece because she's already confessed to a very large group of women, or at least some group of women, 5, 6, 10. And so we know that this was known. She is not denying it. She's now being very honest. She's owning her intentions. And so later on, when the truth comes out, we know that that this is something known in the city. This is he is not going to prison because of something that they actually believe he did. I mean, I think that's one really important point, is that she's already confessing.
Yes.
And she's also saying, you blamed me. You're saying that something's wrong with me because of the way I behaved or the way I felt about him. But now you know that you're just as infatuated with him as I am. And I love that she says, "Fastasan." She admits, she's so honest with them. He remained upright.
Yes.
And the other point I just wanted to kind of call attention to is the word وَلَئِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ. So she doesn't say يعمل. She says يفعل. And يفعل, as I understand it, is an action that one can do willingly or unwillingly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas يعمل, you have to actually have will behind it. So she doesn't care if he wants to or not. She's just like, he just needs to comply.
Yeah.
It's a very honest statement.
Absolutely. Even the emphasis she has, فَذَلِكُنَّ الَّذِي لُمْتُنَّنِي فِيهِ لُمْتُنَّ التشديد. Then he said وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدتُّهُ عَنْ نَفْسِهِ. يعني all the emphasis فَذَلِكُنَّ الَّذِي لُمْتُنَّنِي فِيهِ, like you have the blame me for it.
Yeah.
The لُمْتُنَّنِي فِيهِ, like she's saying that you have blamed me from لوم.
Yeah.
That's why she said لُمْتُنَّنِي فِيهِ وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدتُّهُ. المراودة in Arabic is to try over and over again. To try, yes. Therefore, she said, I tried to seduce him many times. عن نفسي فاستعصم. فاستعصم, the word استعصم, as you pointed out, وما يعتصم بالله. العصمة is to hold on something to protect you from something else. As the son of Nuh alayhi salam said, when his father said to him, يا بني اركب معنا, oh, son, join us. قال سأوي إلى جبل, I will go to a mountain, يعصمني من الماء. قال لا عاصم اليوم من أمر الله. عاصم here, that means I was going to protect myself by going to the top of the mountain. The Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها. They said this استمسك معناته استعصم, he hold into. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا. فاعتصام from عصمة in Arabic is meant to seek shield and protections. So she said, she didn't say that فأعصم نفسه, said فاستعصم. استعصم, that means he really held it, like he resisted.
Yeah.
I tried everything to seduce him, but he completely resisted this with all the power he has. فاستعصم. What she's indicating here, I did not just ask him to go out with me. I didn't ask him. I did everything in my power to have him to fall into committing the sin. فاستعصم, which is the praise of Yusuf alayhi, he praising him. One of the things that I learned in spirituality, they said that you have to learn isti'sam.
Yeah.
Isti'sam is a skill that you have to develop, because temptation not only for physical relationship, but temptation for money, temptation for power, temptation of prestige, temptation for fame. How do you do isti'sam when things come fall into your lap? When it is out there, it really is within the reach. Any kind of sin. How do you resist that? This is ihsan is a very strong word describing strong spiritual will. And Yusuf alayhi salam had this ihsan because the description that وَقَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابُ وَقَالَتْ هَيْتَ لَكَ. Then he did this ihsan. Like he didn't have even where to run. He could have said, I have no choice. But this is ihsan and resisted and run to the door, all of that. That is ihsan that the person need to have to flee to Allah at the time of vulnerability, spiritual vulnerability. As Allah says in the Quran, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Run to Allah, flee to Allah. And one of my teachers said, when Allah said flee to Allah, imagine like everything is danger except being in His presence. The safety is in His presence. For this, though, the word istihsam really, triggered this ideas in my head that each one of us have to have his own istihsan, to build the skills of istihsan for moment like that, you know. Then the other things in the ayah, to elaborate on what you said, قالت ولئن لم يفعل ولئن لم يفعل ما آمره ليسجنن. There's double. You know how many noon in this? It look like 2 noon, but there are 3 noons. She said, ليسجنن. For sure, I'm going to put him in prison.
And she even uses the lam of emphasis. So there's all.
Yes,
so
exactly.
every emphasis you can add.
Ta'keed.
Yes.
Yes. Therefore, she determined. That's why later, when Yusuf alayhi salam was asked to come to help the king, he said, I want you to ask about ask the women to see. I want to have my innocent to be declared. But my witness, the witnesses he had, are the women. Why? Because in front of them, she said, I will have him to go to prison. Therefore, they know exactly. And in front of them, she said, فَاسْتَعْصَمْ.
Yeah.
Like she made a confession in front of women, group of women, not one person.
Not one person.
That he resisted.
And these women don't have any love for her. Yani, these women aren't on her side. They're not biased towards her. They were actually talking badly about her in the beginning. These women have no reason to lie in his favor. They actually have every, yani, it's because there's a lot of debate and discussion about why he mentioned the women who cut their hands instead of her later on when he was asked. But we'll discuss that later. I think it's fascinating. But this is the clue to it, is she confessed to them already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why, like today, you see what happened in Palestine. You will see people being exposed of doing wrong. And subhanAllah, Allah made them video their wrong. Everyone have seen it. Like somebody will video the wrong they have done to people, and they will brag about it, and then somebody says, oops, they should not have done that. That's against us. But it's too late.
Yeah.
Therefore, she declared at that moment of arrogance, because you see, the problem is that is one thing to do the wrong, the other level of it to brag about it. So what? I'm going to tell everybody that I did it.
She feels like she can do whatever she wants with impunity. That's one thing.
Yes, exactly.
The other thing I actually wanted to bring up is there's this state of mind called limerence. And what limerence is, this is like a physiological, neurological state where someone is so overcome with passion, infatuation, and being, madly in love, you can say, that they literally are out of their mind. Even they've done brain scans on people, and they have the same brain scan as someone who's high on cocaine. So they are literally out of their mind. And she really is in that state right here. And what characterizes this state is a desire to possess, to control. And so here she's saying, وَلَئِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ مَا أَمُرْهُ, what I command him to do. If he doesn't comply with what I command him to do, this is about control.
Exactly.
Not reciprocal love. She's not saying if he doesn't love me back.
Yeah.
She wants to possess and control him.
Exactly. Wonderful point. And by the way, the لئن لم يفعل ما أمره is mad. Yes. That for sure what I commanded, then he will do this. Which is saying that how comes he reject my order?
Yes.
He has to listen to what I'm telling him. He's my servant, he's my slave. And then the word لَوَلْيَكُنَنَّ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ, very interesting, مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. Because now, in the eyes of this woman, being elevated, like he's awesome. This is a woman, like first lady, and She said, I'm going to humiliate him because he elevate himself and refused to do this. I'm going to humiliate him. But as she's doing that, she didn't realize that she is among the Saghirin,
Yes.
because she really put herself down to seduce the man that grew up in her household as servant. And she, in order to elevate herself, she have to humiliate him. And that's what the arrogant people do. In order for them to keep themselves, in the level that of their arrogance, they have to put someone down. And that's why they said that المتكبر دائما ينظر للناس كأنهم صغار. The arrogant person always look to people as little people.
Yeah.
Belittling them and look them as little people.
He was being uppity, he was asserting his dignity. And it's actually a very important lesson that you are the one with the upper hand, and you are the one with dignity when you live your values. And like this fa'tasim, this holding on to the rope of Allah, standing upright, even if you're the servant, even if you have less power.
Yes.
You are still the one who's standing tall. That you have a decision to make. You have the power to be the bigger person. And I don't mean the bigger person like you forgive someone. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is, in a situation, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission.
Exactly.
You decide by who you make as your Lord. Because Allah is his Lord, he is free and he is upright, and he is the one that she wants to subdue, because he won't surrender to her.
Who said that in order for somebody to ride in your back, you have to bend your back?
Yeah.
So somebody, I don't know, Malcolm X or somebody said that.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Yeah, somebody have said that. One of the things that we learn from the Sirah, like Sumaya resisting what they have ordered her to do, said reject the Prophet ﷺ, reject Islam. And it was very troubling to the Quraysh that this little woman here, doesn't have tribe backing, and she comes from a lower class in their mind, resisting the tyrants of Quraysh, the elite of Quraysh, were very annoying to them, because they thought that the minute they're going to tell her that change your mind, and she's going to change her mind. But she was tortured to death. And that's what was the beginning of the end of the oppression system of Mecca, the death of Sumaya. That's how it started collapsing. Because for them, they lost their mind. If we cannot control Sumaya, whom can we control? The same thing, this woman here, that if I cannot have a slave person to do this, what power do I have? I lost all kind of power, prestige. My name went to the mud. Therefore, I have to humiliate him, because really he broke my ego and shattered my ego to pieces.
Yes.
And one of the things that I remember one of my teachers was saying, perhaps this is her attitude with everyone else. Not necessarily all the physical relationship. She always looked like, I give you order, you do it.
She's very entitled.
Yes, entitled.
She's very, very entitled, and she's driven entirely by her ego, by her nafs. And it's interesting because it's an archetype of any kind of sexual assault, really. And it's gender neutral, right? It's about control. It's about, how dare you say no to me? I'm entitled to access to you. A sense of superiority, and a sense of and wanting control, just and possession. I want to possess you. I want to control you. I want to dominate you.
Unfortunately, this sometimes happens even in marriage relationship.
Yes, that's true.
Or somebody feel entitled and control and those kind of things. They have to be available whenever I want you. They have to do the things I ask you to do. If I ask you to jump to say how high, like controlling relationship instead of healthy relationship.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I'll go to the next ayah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عنه كيدهن أصب إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين. He said, Yusuf said, my Lord, I would prefer prison to what these women are calling me to do. If you do not protect me from their treachery, I shall yield to them and be from among the ignorant or do wrong.
Did we say لا تصرف عني كيدهن in the recitation?
Oh, did I miss like a part of the ayah? Let me do it again.
Mm.
قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين.
No.
Yusuf said, my Lord, I would prefer prison to what these women are calling me to do. If you do not protect me from their treachery, I shall yield to them and do wrong. There's so much to talk about here. SubhanAllah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, who asked to go to prison? You know, he says, if the option is to go to prison, I don't mind. If the option only to be protected from those women harassment is me to go to prison, because I'm a human being, I don't know how long I can be able to resist this. قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه. Prison is more beloved, preferable to me than what they're calling me for. Usually, a person will you know, maybe will have asked for something else, you know, but he asked because she made the option either you do this or you go to prison.
Right.
Then Yusuf alayhi salam said to Allah, if the option to do this or to go to prison, I'd rather to go to prison.
Yes.
That's how much he really does istihsan. Now you can see the level of istihsan. Fastahsan, to the extent that he rather to go to prison than to do this. But he asked Allah for help. He said, if you don't help me, I might fall into it, which is the human aspect of him. وَأَكُن مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. The vulnerability, the spiritual vulnerability. All of us have spiritual vulnerability. But he says that if you do not protect me, oh Allah, I might fall into their plot. But I'd rather to go to prison. It's amazing.
You know, what you said about that he would rather go to prison, the idea of prison was actually what he saw as freedom from the slavery of succumbing to his own desires, perhaps, and their desires. That succumbing to that shahwa is slavery, is imprisonment to your own desires. And going to actual prison, physical prison, is freedom from that. He's actually asking to be freed from what they're asking him to do, even if he has to go to prison. Absolutely. And protected from it. And he chose remaining free and in his conscience and in his surrender to Allah by choosing that option. The other thing that I thought was, as you said, that he asked for protection from it. It's very interesting when you study when people fall into temptation, whether it's going back to a drug that they're getting over or that they're trying to stay away from, or falling into an affair, or any temptation that is actually against what they want or against their value system. It is preceded by pride and thinking, I could never do that.
Mm.
So it's very interesting that he said, if you don't protect me, I might fall into it. He had the humility to ask for help and know that he is susceptible to temptation because he's a human being, even though he's a prophet of Allah. And that is really a lesson to us, that
Absolutely.
the fall is always after the pride of thinking you are above that. You could never do that.
Yeah, this is so wonderful what you just said in terms of freedom and being physically confined.
Mm-hmm.
How many people been prison of conscience,
Yes.
Politically prisoners, who are actually free?
Yes. Yes.
That one of the poets said, "Oh, my friend, you are free if you even you behind the bar, prison bar. That if you have liberated your soul, you cannot be confined to space." As Iqbal said, "You are an eagle. Be always in top of mountain. Don't live in the valley." You know, and the freedom of spiritual freedom, it comes from submitting to oneself to Allah. The submission to Allah free from all kind of slavery, because you submit to the one that does not need you. You need him.
Yeah.
While other submissions, you submit to someone who want to enslave you for their benefit. And sometimes enslaving, becoming enslaved to your desire is against your benefit as a human being. And here, the Yusuf alayhi salam went through stages of his life where many times found himself alone, from the being in the well, the bottom of the well. When he thrown to the well, actually that's how Allah elevated him. You know, he may be physically down, but spiritually up, because Allah promised him that he will be elevated. And when he was locked into those doors, as we said before, his door with Allah was wide open. When he put in prison now, he actually broke the shackles of desire and shahwa. Therefore, he confined him to the physical space, but they couldn't confine his soul. And that's really the essence of freedom in Islam.
Yes.
That you're free no matter what. Do not being subjected to oppressions and mistreatment, of course. But if that happened to you, you have to know that those people will not be able to control your soul. Your soul always is free. And one of uh, uh, the things that he said, that ignorance make a person not realize his self-worth. He said, وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ, that I will not realize my self-worth, because jahl has two aspects of it. Jahl is um, to violate what Allah commands. It's called jahiliyyah. Or jahl, also not understanding the self-worth. They said, أعرف ربك تعرف نفسك. You come to know your Lord, you come to know yourself. And therefore, he is saying that I have done that. If I were to follow my desire, I'll become among the jahilin. وأكون من الجاهلين. ما قال أكون من الفاسقين. أكون من العاصين. Because the jahl, that not knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not knowing oneself, is the foundation or the reason for all other sins. For he said, وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ, because ulama said, al-ma'arifa billah, you got to know Allah, protect the person from falling into major sins, because Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا قَدْرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ, they have not given the Allah the estimate he deserves. For you can say from mafhum al-mukhalafa, with the defining by their opposite, that he is among al-arifin, because if I do that, we become al-jahilin. هو من العارف, عارف بالله, he knows who Allah is, and feel being an awe in the presence of Allah. Therefore, nothing can attract him. No attraction of the world can have him to exchange his love for Allah for the love of desires of human being and so forth. For he is in different zone. For he is not even an arifin. He said, I'm not going to be a jahili. And that's why they said, if a person comes to know Allah, you will not replace Allah with anything else. For that's what Yusuf alayhi salam was. Because he's min al-arifin min al-muhsinin. He felt the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what really drew my attention. Yani have me to reflect on how he ended his statement. وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. He didn't say, well, if I commit this, وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْعَاصِينَ.
Right.
Because the ma'asi is the product, the outcome of jahl. Al-ma'rifah billah.
No, I love what you said about that he would fall into ignorance of his own self-worth and who Allah is. That he's misallocating reality. He's if you were to surrender to that kind of temptation in violation of Allah, it would be an irrational misallocation of what is valuable. SubhanAllah. It's an act of ignorance, which of course leads to disobedience, but it's hard. The root cause is ignorance. I often think about the idea of what is freedom, and you touched on it. I think it's worth just repeating and thinking about and really reflecting on what is freedom, because in so many ways, our society tells us that succumbing to our desires is freedom. Obey your thirst. Literally said that's an actual, tagline of soft drink, right? Obey your thirst. Mm-hmm. But this idea that freedom is giving in to your every impulse, when in Islam it's the opposite. It's actually slavery. This is the worst and most confining form of slavery, to be a slave of your drives, of your impulses, and that the freest of us are those who can resist those impulses and surrender only to Allah. And what's so important, I sometimes explain Tawheed to even young people, high school students. What is Tawheed? And I say it's rendering yourself unenslavable, because the one and only thing that you surrender to is the one and only thing no one can give or take away from you. So they can't control you. You're free.
That's beautiful.
You're unenslavable.
That's beautiful. MashaAllah. Just come to my mind is that what free you also is to knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mm-hmm. That the more you know Allah, the more you become free, because ignorance also, like here, you say, "Akum min al-jahilin," that sometimes people assume that their happiness is in drinking, their happiness in money, their happiness in fame, and they're going after a mirage.
Yes, absolutely.
Allah says in the Quran, going to this jahilin, Allah said, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those who fear Allah the most, those who know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا. You must know there's no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا. The knowledge of knowing Allah.
It's about like ilm and not just iman, right? Know it. This is something to know. It's about knowledge.
Yeah. شهد الله أنه لا إله إلا هو والملائكة وأولو العلم قائما بالقسط. Allah testified there's no God but He, and the angels and people of knowledge. For Yusuf alayhi salam, he knew who Allah is. And that knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this kind of resilient system in him.
He became spiritually resilient.
Exactly. يعني ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا. Whoever fear Allah, have conscience of Allah, Allah find ease for them, a way out of things. ويرزق من حيث لا يحتسب. Give him rizq from the way that have not imagined. And one of my shuyukh said, because usually people worried not obeying Allah because of rizq. Because that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, obey Allah wherever you may be, taqillah, haythuma kun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will taqillah, yaj'al lahu makhraja. You'll find a way out of trouble for it. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And he will give him sustenance when they wouldn't have not imagined. So it's beautiful that what Yusuf said, subhanallah.
It is. One thing you said that I just wanted, that made me think of just the fact that our declaration of faith is a shahada, right? Ashhadu, subhanallah. It's not iman only. It's like amanu, that there's no God but God. It's not a'lamu. It's not just I know. It's not I have faith in or I know. It's I bear witness. The level of certainty.
Yes.
And it's what I love is it's not just certainty, but it's like this is a reality that I can either bear witness to or I can deny, but it doesn't change whether or not I believe in it. Like if this tree exists in front of me, I can bear witness. But if I don't, if I want to lie about it, it does not change the reality of the tree.
Absolutely.
And I think it's so beautiful because our faith is so unique in that the declaration of faith, how you become a Muslim, is by bearing witness to
Absolutely.
the reality of God's oneness and the prophethood of
And
Muhammad.
this is beautiful what you just said, because the shahada, it encompasses knowledge.
Exactly.
It encompasses knowledge, and it encompasses faith.
Yes.
Because you see, first of all, in order to make shahada, witness anything, you have to know it.
Yes.
You cannot give shahada even in court. If you don't know it, you cannot be it. Number one, you have to have the courage to testify, to witness, and the courage to. Number three is to share it, to share what you have seen. And therefore the shahada of Islam, it is not only a statement being made with our tongue or an idea in our head, but is the whole being of a person testifying, seeing it, because you can see with your heart. There's the real shahada when your heart can see. What's called basira. Okay, that is the shahada. When your ear hear the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in real sense. When you see the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the universe, and then your whole being move toward it. That is a shahada. Shahada encompasses all of that. The emotional and the intellectual, the aspect of it, and that creates the spiritual state, because the spiritual state is a connection between the intellect and the emotional, the heart and the mind, and the body submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's there, therefore it's I like the emphasis in the word shahada.
That's very profound. Thank you, Imam Majid. I actually think we'll stop here today. It'll be a little shorter.
Yes, inshallah.
And we will pick up from here, inshallah, next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
We hope you enjoyed this conversation, and if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Share this episode with others who may be interested in the meaning of the Quran. And as always, we love hearing from our listeners. Tell us your reflections at Quran.conversations, our Instagram page. We love reading every single one. Finally, we hope this podcast encourages your own reflective journey with the Quran. This week's reflection prompt is, when have you successfully resisted an impulse to act outside your value system? How did that make you feel? Until next week, salam.